Well, hey everyone, happy Tuesday to you. It's Kelly here, and today we're going to cover another leaf from the fall, but this time we're going to cover it with using alcohol inks. You remember last week, the week before, maybe it was even the week before that I did the watercolor reflections. I do have the new class up on Skillshare for that, but this week I wanted to show you how to do a more detailed leaf, and this time we're going to be using alcohol ink. So stick around and I'll show you all the details. Welcome to my YouTube channel where I have new videos every Tuesday at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So make sure you click that subscribe button and click the little bell and you'll never miss one. I do have full online classes, so you can find them over there at my website at kellylynart.com. where I have over 2,500 students in 85 different countries and over 24 online classes that have lifetime access. So I wanted to know how long you have been watching my channel. If you are new here, let me know down below, say hi. And if you've been here for a while, let me know how many months you've been watching. Today we're going to cover the alcohol ink leaf painting using Pinata alcohol inks. If you guys have been on my channel for a while, you know I have a really hard time saying pinata. I want to say panada. Oh, and every week I do the same thing, so bear with me. So if you are new here from either Skillshare or Udemy, I want to welcome you to my YouTube channel. Hopefully you can grab lots of free information here on this channel. Make sure you share it with your friends. If you've taken some classes and you enjoyed them, I'd love to hear your comments down below here. But today, what we're going to do is create this sweet little leaf painting and try and do a little bit more realistic look from the last class, which was the fall watercolor class. So if you've taken the watercolor classes and you're new to alcohol inks is an amazing medium. You do want to make sure that you're covering yourself for safety issues. I don't use a whole lot of alcohol ink with the way that I paint here, just a little bit on the brush, and it's more of a dry alcohol ink that I'm using, so very little. But if you're using lots of alcohol, which a lot of people are really into the alcohol inks, they do the big pours, they use lots of isopropyl alcohol with it, you do want to make sure that you are in a well ventilated area and that you take all your safety precautions. Talk to your doctor if you have breathing issues or anything like that. The Pinata alcohol inks are not very strong, and if you use the cleanup solution with it, it's very light. There's not much of a smell with those. So the first step was to draw out the leaf here, and then I filled that in mostly with my brush using just a little bit of the sunshine yellow. I think it's called sunshine yellow. I'll have to double check that for you, and I'll put it in the link here. But I used the Pinata Exciter pack, which has all of these colors, and they're wonderful. They have pretty much everything that you need to mix your own colors if you want. And a lot of these, I'll just use the basic colors that they have here. So we'll start with the yellow, and then I want to do a layer of orange on top of that. So I'm going to use a little bit of wax paper here just to get a little texture in here. I'm going to crumple this up into a very small piece, and then we're going to dab a little bit of the orange on here. Now you have to be careful that you don't go outside of the area here, so try to keep it contained. And then I'm going to just do a little bit of brush work. Now you can see I'm barely putting anything on here as far as the alcohol ink, just using the very tip of the applicator to load up my brush. And then I'm just going to fill some of this area in here with a little bit of the orange. So you can see I'm softening the colors here with a blender pen. This is made by Chameleon. It's filled with a little bit of blending solution inside. They do have replacement tips for these and you can refill them. And I will put a link for you guys down below as well for the blender pens if these are something new and you haven't seen these before. I love to use these. They have two different nibs. They have one that's a little bit finer and softer than the other side. So there's two ends to this and it works great. You can also use a brush with a little bit of alcohol or blending solution, but the blender pen just seems to work a little bit better, and you can also lift your paint out using it and just wiping it off with the tissue next to you. So I'm going to use a little bit more of the red here to put in the stem, and let me pop the picture back up here for you so you can have a reference photo. So you can see I was trying to leave a little bit of that yellow in there where those highlights are for the veining, and I didn't quite do what I wanted to do, so I was trying to pull out some of that ink using the blender pen. But what I'm going to end up doing is going back in with a white gel pen here in a few minutes, and I'll lighten that back up using not the blender pen, but the gel pen here. So you can see in this stem area down here, I've got a nice shadow and it looks to be a little green. So I'm going to add a little bit of darkness, a little bit of that dark green here in just a few areas. And you don't need a whole lot here, just a little, just for a little bit of shade. That's all I'm going to do for that. I'm going to put a little shadow in here now using the blender pen. Now I did not want the color yellow, so I'm going to try green, see if I could darken that up a little bit more. I was hoping I had more of a grayish tint to my blender pen here, but you can still see it's a little green. So I'm going to go into a dry palette that I have here on the side, and I'm going to lift a little bit of some black out here. Not quite enough. There's a little bit more. So now I can get the real color of a shadow, which is more of a gray shade. And I want to soften that in. And you can see here, I'll put the picture back up, that it does have that softening. It's a real dark shadow on the underneath of the leaf here, and it softens as it comes out. So I'm going to take this color and I'm just going to keep blending it, wiping off that extra paint here on the side of my tissue so I can get a softer shade of gray out here. That's an easy way to make a shadow using the blender pen rather than using your paints themselves, because they're just a little bit too dark. And that's a really easy shadow here for you. So because I lost a lot of those highlights, I'm going to take my white gel pen and I'm going to put some of those highlights back in here. And I'm going to blow this up for you just so you can see the picture here up close. You can see how bright, almost white, that little bit of veining is in here. So if you haven't used a gel pen before, these work really good with alcohol inks to give you a little bit of highlight. And these ones that I'm using here are made by Signo, also called Uniball pens, and I think even like Staples has these, but I'll give you the Amazon link. I order mine off Amazon, and you can also use a Posco pen. You could use some bleed proof white if you wanted to, but I'll find that you can soften this color, which is what I'm going to do here in a second, once that white's in here. If it's just a little bit too bright and I want more of a yellowish tint to it, you can always go back in and add a little bit more color on top of it to soften them so it's not quite as white. Also, if you want to keep it bright white, you could spray this with some Kmart varnish ahead of time before you actually put the white in, and that will give you a true white, because sometimes the blender pens or the gel pens will pick up some of the colors underneath. So it may turn yellow or may turn orange on you as you wait for this to dry. So if you want some bright white, stark white, you could go ahead and use the varnish to seal it before you do that. Just another little tip for you. So you can see here I'm going back in, adding a little bit more yellow to it because I do want to soften, and it's not quite that bright that it doesn't look quite as realistic. So we'll soften that up just a little bit. I want to leave a little bit of those bright white highlights on the edge here, so I'm not going to cover all of it. So I hope you enjoyed this. Make sure to click that like and share button if you found this helpful. And we'll look forward to painting with you coming up next week. I hope you guys have a great week, and we will see you soon. Bye-bye.